Oh, What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Dead Funny Review Show. I'm your host, Chris. Joining me today are my co-hosts, Kelsey and JoJo. We are back, as we said we would be, to go over the Falcon Winter Soldier for as long as it goes on, which I believe we said was going to be 6 episodes.
Yes.
As you'll see, Kelsey is now joining us as well to give her opinions on Captain. I keep doing that. Fuck, every time. I do it whenever I'm not on camera, too. Like, every time I'm talking to my significant other, I'm always all like, yeah, fucking Captain Falcon. And I'm like, it's not fucking Captain Falcon. It's Falcon Winter Soldier. I do that every time. Else. I'm just going to call it Captain Falcon and just fucking be done with it. Because apparently I'm not going to fix that, so. But.
You don't need to lean into it. If you're aware it's a problem, just being like, you know what? Like,
but who am I hurting?
Nobody. I just expect better from you.
That's okay. I'm okay with disappointing. It's all right.
Chris gives no shits about disappointing me. All right, good to know.
I don't give shits about disappointing anybody. Anyways, so, man, dude, I gotta start watching these episodes closer to when we go to record. Today, I was like, all right, I gotta remember things that happened, and I was trying to put it together. I watched it like the day it came out, and I was like, fuck. I don't know.
There was the U.S. agent. I mean, there's John Walker.
I remember the episode. Episode. It's just, it took me like all day today. I was like, I might as well just fucking rewatch it, but I didn't. And I just had to put it back together. So I guess to kind of start from episode 1 and get a couple thoughts as far as from Kelsey goes. So that way we can kind of move on together as a group. So I guess the best way to do it would be first thoughts. What were your first thoughts as far as episode 1 was concerned? Obviously, it's an intro episode. It's an opener episode. Not a lot of stuff's going to happen. Your thoughts as far as a new direction with Marvel doing these TV shows. We obviously have, talked about Wanda Vision on the podcast and stuff like that as well. What are your thoughts for episode 1 so far?
So, episode 1, I appreciated that they did not immediately make the Falcon and the Winter Soldier buddies. Like, I liked the fact that throughout the whole first arc of this whole thing, of the Marvel MCU, this version of it, those guys do not like each other. In Civil War, they straight up like fought Spider-Man together, and they were laying on the floor like, I hate you, and said that out loud to each other. So the fact that they came to a slightly better place by the end of Endgame, like, that's a good thing, but I'm glad that they didn't show them like, oh yeah, and then they just like fell in together and have been best buds since, and we're getting a buddy cop movie. Like, I do appreciate that they do still have a little bit of an issue with each other. However, the thing that's cracking me up about it is through both of the first episodes, it's hitting the same emotional notes and moments and the same level of hilarity as the start of a rom-com. Like, it's hitting the exact same way, and I'm like, you're just fueling the shippers, but it feels like you're doing it on purpose because it is so, like, they go tumbling out of the thing, rolling through a field together, holding on, and then there's that moment of like, ugh, and they like gasp for air, and then it's like, get off of me, and then they lay next to each other in this field full of flowers, right? And then we know what happens in the second episode with the couples therapist and how close they get and stuff like that. And so the people that are running away with this as a ship and just going like, oh my gosh, there's so much sexual tension. It's like they're hitting all the same notes as a romantic comedy. Like, it feels very similar. And so one where, the guy and the girl start out by hating each other and then slowly like decide that they respect each other. And then that respect like turns into something much better. So I'm looking forward to seeing that happen, but they're hitting enough romantic notes that if we end up with this, like these two becoming a couple, I'd be like, yep, makes sense. Oh, and one other thing. I listened to your guys' comments on the first couple, and I was very angry because you read out Red Wing's profile.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you noted, nobody gives a shit about this but me. One of the things you noted, though, it was Red Wing weighs 0.19 pounds. That's 3 ounces. Do you want to know how many falcons in the entire world weigh 3 ounces? A couple, and they're only the pygmy falcons of Africa. And they're the size of a Tweety bird, which is not how big Red Wing is, because they draw him like he's based off a red-tailed hawk, which is not a falcon. And yeah, so I got real mad when they're just like, this big ginormous bird is 3 ounces. He's a tiny bird.
many Falcons in the world are vampires, Kelsey?
Yeah.
Also none.
I was about to say, I don't
up.
think she took away the part of the profile that we pulled up the profile for, which is that he's
No, I
apparently a
absolutely
fucking
did.
vampire.
I did take that away, but I was
Lord.
like, I mean, falcons and hawks do ingest blood, but they do that as part of consuming their meal. It's not just like they're gonna glug glug and let the bunny run away. Like the bunny's going down. So I was grumpy about that.
And the fact that they had to take.
Chris did not misread that. That's actually what it says on the website.
I looked it up because I'm like, there's no way Chris is right. Like, a 1.9 pounds is a totally reasonable weight for an adult falcon, like an adult red-tailed hawk. And so I was like, okay, that's probably what he meant to say. And then I looked it up and I was like, 3 fucking ounces? Are you kidding me? Do you know what? And like, somebody did that on purpose. Like, somebody intentionally was like, how heavy is this falcon? And so they like did math and put in 0.19 pounds.
Yeah. That's weird.
Who the hell thinks a falcon, like a full red-tailed hawk, weighs 0.1? Like, there's enough Google in the world for these people to know this information, and they chose not to use it. They chose to use the weight of a tiny little Tweety bird. This big, and I was very grumpy about that.
Kelsey's first assumption is that I'm not competent enough to read a bio on a fan page. She's like,
No.
Chris had to have read that wrong. That dude's
To be
a fucking
honest,
idiot.
When you said it, I was like 0.19, and then I did the math on the like. There's 16 ounces in a pound. That's 3 ounces. That's insane. And then I went and looked it up, and I was like, as I was looking it up, I was like, I know a red-tailed hawk, and like I googled that first, and was like, yeah, that's about 1.9 pounds, and that's when I assumed you read it wrong. So I actually started with you being right, if that helps.
Not really.
Not really. No.
Yep. No, I was drawn to the vampire, and then the biggest one for me was the fact that he was single. So I'm glad that we got to know that part about Red Wing. In case anybody was wondering.
At marvel.fandom.com. I have to get into their comment section here and say, hey, where'd you get this weight information for Red Wing?
Oh man. Yeah.
So I realize that's irrelevant to anyone but me, but
that's funny. No, whatever. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the appreciation for the two of them not jumping directly into a friendship and having the buddy aspect, even though they're both, obviously there for the same reason. I still stand by what I said in the first episode, which is the biggest letdown for me was, like I said, Rhodey's weird obsession with Falcon giving up the shield whenever literally goes against like almost everything he's done in the Iron Man comics, but or not comics, but movies, but I guess whatever. I don't know. I just thought that was really weird for Rhodey. Like anybody else you could have threw in there and I would have been like, but Rhodey was like the dude that started out with like, this belongs to the military. And it's like, yeah, maybe the military doesn't need this. And then it's like, now it's mine. This is my suit. It's like, all right. Okay. You should give the shield to the military. It's like, what?
The role of Sam with regard to being in the military is sort of confusing because he was supposed to be in like part of the Air Force. Then this episode, he's like, I'm like a free agent. I don't have to get a bunch of John Walker. You need to get like clearance to do things, and I can just run off and do it myself. So then
a lot more flexible.
I assumed that had to do with his time in the Avengers and just kind of like the military backed off when he did what he did in the Avengers is kind of like a thank you, but that was my guess. I also thought in the first episode when we've got our wonderful Winter Soldier jumping into the first car or the first truck and opening that up in front of the second truck, like with that in the background, he's just like casually walking around and like, oh yeah, there's stuff in here. And I'm like, the other truck can see you.
Yeah,
this is an era of cell phones. Like, do you not think that they're gonna call and be like, yo, there's a dude in the truck and like fuck up your day?
Yeah.
And also Bucky like just jumped onto what was in theory like a military operation, and he's just like supposed to be a civilian / ex crazy murder man from the Nazis, So it's it's a fluid thing. Doesn't matter. He's exactly as involved in the military as he needs to be for the story to be fun. who cares?
Yeah.
But it's just odd. I don't know.
Well, I think something that's probably important to remember, because we haven't heard that any of that has been disbanded yet, as far as one, the Avengers, or two, them technically being considered agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because I know we had the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D., but S.H.I.E.L.D. is still a thing.
Is it? It like an official capacity? It still is.
It's still a thing, yes. So they had the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D. because of Hydra, but once that was cleared out, S.H.I.E.L.D. was still operational. It just, they wanted to move it to a much smaller scale and rebuild from within. So S.H.I.E.L.D. is still considered a thing, so they're still technically S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, which I would see where that would give them the freedom to kind of do a little bit more of what they want to do versus, you know, and once again, they're fucking superheroes. It's like, what are you really gonna fucking? I mean, that was what always cracked me up about the Civil War. Whenever that was going down the comics too, it's like you would always have like these politicians who are all like, "Fuck you, Steve Rogers. You're gonna do what I tell you." And it's like, dude, he would fucking crush your skull. Like, what are you gonna do against Captain America? Like, come on, man. Like, what are you gonna do? I'll never forget. I think it was like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, where he jumps in a plane and it was dead in the middle of the Civil War, and there's like 8 guys and they all pull their guns out, and Captain America just starts laughing. And he's like, I mean, what are you gonna, you're not gonna stop me. I'm gonna take everybody down, grab what I want, jump out of the plane because I can do that, land on the ground on my shield, and walk away completely fine. Like, it's not, you're not gonna do. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
it's like, come on.
The Senator would just tell a different superhero who is cool with doing to help him deal with Captain America, right?
Yeah.
That's all. You just gotta say, hey, Iron Man, help me out here.
Well, see, they were against each other though, so you can't pull Iron Man. But no, I'm just joking with you.
Right.
But yeah, so like I said, that was my biggest issue with the first episode. But I mean, I get it. They have to set up some kind of plot, and it makes sense that I guess it's Rhodey. I don't know. I don't want to say that, because I was going to say because of Iron Man and Rhodey's relationship, but I don't want to say that, because that, to me, even more makes me feel like Rhodey should be like, don't give the shield to the government. He gave it to you. If Tony gave me his suit, I wouldn't be like, here you fucking go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just don't get that part. I don't know why that bugs me so much. It just fucking does. But episode 2, moving on to what we're supposed to be talking about.
You don't want to talk about hawk weights for another few minutes? Because I can do that.
No, I'm good. So what's interesting to me, and I actually kind of liked it, was the motive that they've given the Flag Smashers for bringing everything back to the blip. I thought that that was kind of interesting versus, you know, where they're just basically, is it nationalist or anti-nationalist? I don't know.
Yeah, sort of anti. Yeah, they don't want nations at all.
They don't want. There you go. Yeah. They don't want nations at all. That's what they are in the comics. Like that's all they care about in the comics. Like this whole back to the blip is definitely written just for this show, which is really fucking interesting in my opinion.
I also want that explained more, to be totally fair, because
because just on a basic level and just say, oh, these are people who don't want borders, that doesn't necessarily sound like villains inherently. That's just
exactly.
There are good and bad traits to that, and I don't know what their motive is. You know.
Yeah, what is their ultimate goal? What does that look like? Like, how do they actually see that happening, and what are they hoping society? How are they hoping society will form? But every depiction that we have of people after the blip or during the blip is just this. Actually, so tiny bit of sociology. If you remove 10% of a population, you will have a permanent effect on that society's culture for the rest of time. Like that society will be affected. So 10% is all it takes. And so the idea that 50% of all cultures were decimated because statistics, like the immense grieving that we saw in the movies that they said, hey, this is what the blip was like, is just everyone grieving a lot and no one really knowing how to do that because all of us were in such an intense state of grief. And that seems accurate. So to get everyone back and then say, hey, things were better before, I want that explained a little bit because this was such an intense level of grief. And at this point, I've seen like most of who they showed in that room when they showed everybody were mostly kind of young people, but it looked like some of them were in their late 30s, early 40s, like old enough to have people that they cared about and grieve. Like if this was just a bunch of high school kids, I would somewhat understand, just because the world would be more open for opportunity in the blip for them than it is after, like once everyone comes back. But it looked like it was people across ages to some degree. Like it was mostly young people. I didn't see anybody in that room that was like 75. So I would want to know why they view the blip as better, especially if it has some kind of border analysis. Did you guys get any of that I missed?
So what they kind of touched on a little bit, and they didn't go into like great detail, and then part of this is also my speculation as well, is so you pointed out the age, right? So we also have to remember when we're talking about the blip lasted 4 to 5 years. So for some people, grieving wise, it is what it is. Obviously, some people get over it, some people aren't. But I don't necessarily think it's so much of a grieving aspect. I think with 4 to 5 years, in my personal opinion, the way that the Flag Smashers were based in the comics is that they came from poor countries. So coming from poorer countries and having all these resources, not starving before you're going to bed, being able to, that is a better situation. So whenever you go 5 years that your life is now better, and then out of nowhere, now every single nation is just completely stretched to the gills trying to come up with resources for all these people who are magically just coming back out of nowhere. I mean, hospitals we saw in Wanda Vision, hospitals were being flooded like crazy, so on and so forth. It puts a strain on everything all the way around. And I can see where they would be like, okay, well, things were better during the blip. So in my opinion, the way that they're being set up is kind of like a mini Thanos without the Infinity Gauntlet. That's pretty much just how I see them. The part where I'm having the trouble tying them in together, especially with their motive, is the super soldier aspect of it, which we saw in this episode. That kind of feels like it's coming out of nowhere to me.
That to me makes it seem like we're actually setting up for a bigger enemy with a more specific purpose that is using them and has enhanced them for a very specific purpose, but their ultimate goal isn't his ultimate goal. Go ahead,
they didn't get enhanced by there is the power broker person, theoretically, who had the super soldier stuff, and the implication is that the Flag Smashers stole it.
Yeah.
From him.
So they enhanced themselves.
Which is why those soldier guys were coming to try to stop their plane from taking off. Those guys would have been the power brokers' men or whatever.
Right. But what I meant by with the tying them in is where they're going to fit in with Zemo.
Right. And that's...
I'm sorry, what's Zemo?
So Zemo is who they were talking about at the end of the second episode. And that's the guy who made the Winter Soldier. He's actually a way bigger deal in the comics than they made him in the movie. Has his own like super villain suit and everything. Like he is a huge deal in the comics. And I would say he's pretty close to like one of Cap's like main villains. I mean, he'd be up there with Red Skull, 100%. Up there with.
Well, he messed with Bucky. Like, of course he's up there, right?
Yeah, but there's always a sense after the Civil War movie, like they purposefully left him alive. Like, they're gonna
do something with him.
They're gonna bring him back around at some point because a lot of villains in these movies end up dying because they don't have future plans, and it's like,
yes,
may as well just have Dr. Octopus explode. Who cares? We're not doing that again.
Zemo was the guy that they showed at the very end in the cell. He was the guy who, in the Winter Soldier movie, was the psychologist who was trying to like get and activate Bucky, right?
Yeah, he was the brainwasher, correct.
Okay, I didn't think he was... I clearly misunderstood something in the Winter Soldier movie because I was under the impression he was following the trail of other scientists and trying to, like, he had a goal in relation to the enhanced people. I didn't think that he was actually the scientist that was.
Okay, you're right. So. He was not. It was Arnim Zola, I believe, who from the first Captain America movie and Winter Soldier movie, the guy who's a TV.
Yes.
That's the guy, I think, who made Winter Soldier. Zemo was just trying to exploit Winter Soldier to cause the division between the superhero people because he has a beef with the superhero people because he was from Sokovia, the country in Age of Ultron, where they, blew up a city because of Ultron or something. It's a little fuzzy.
Well, Ultron blew up the city and they did their best to kind of save people and apparently didn't do enough.
But so Zemo has some beef there. That's different from the comics, because in the comics, Sokovia doesn't even exist. That's just a thing they made up for the movie. Is because they didn't have the rights to the other fictional cities at the time. Fictional countries that they would like to use, because it's not important. Point is, it's a fake place in the that's what Zemo's motivation was then. So theoretically, Zemo doesn't necessarily have any beef with Sam and Bucky, because they weren't involved with that, I guess. So maybe he'll be nice and hang out with them. Maybe he'll help out.
Maybe this is going to be a three-way buddy cop movie, and the three of them are just going to go around and be chums and drink tea. I don't think so.
Probably not.
Maybe.
So in the comics, at some point, Zemo ends up sort of turning not good necessarily, but like anti-hero. He has a team of like bad guy superheroes called the Thunderbolts at some point. And so there's a sense that maybe that's what this will end up building toward with Zemo and with
you think so? The Flag Smashers,
the other Captain America.
You think the Flag Smashers are going to build towards the Thunderbolts?
No, I think Zemo and John Walker specifically would go toward that.
I
Plus,
can see that.
If they bring in like Red Hulk or something, they have a few characters kind of.
I mean, they have that built
shit right now.
they have that built into the universe already, though, right? I mean, we heard about Thunderbolt Ross. That's who led the Civil War in the movie,
right?
So it's not like we don't have Red Hulk already technically built into the universe.
Yes, so I think
because he's already there.
It was sort of notable that they brought that guy back, because he was in that one Hulk movie.
That actually had Robert Downey Jr. in it at the very end. Yeah, so that way they could claim that it's part of the MCU.
But not really acknowledged.
Now, John Walker is our new Captain America, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Also known as U.S. Agent.
Thank you. You guys kept throwing around the phrase U.S. Agent, and as somebody who had no fucking clue what you were talking about, I was just like, well, I'll ask him about it when I talk to them. Okay, so U.S. Agent is... Now, where did that name come from?
Comics.
It's just the name that brought him up in the comics, yeah.
Okay, so that's...
He also
go ahead.
is a Captain America, and then eventually, like, Steve Rogers retakes that name, I think, is what happens, and so...
It was one of those things where if I'm not incorrect here, it was like more of just like pencil pushers of like, we need a new Captain America, and it's like they had a list of like 50 candidates, and it's like, but U.S. Agent 26 seems to like excel where other people don't. That's where like the U.S. Agent came from.
Okay, so John Walker is a Captain America canonically, but he lost it for some reason. Do we know why he eventually loses it? Like, does Steve Rogers show up and be like, "You're a dick," and like take it back, or does he like pledge himself to Hydra or something crazy?
Well, that's where things get tricky, because there's multiple timelines where these end multiple different ways. That's where things get tricky, and where they have options really to kind of go where they want to go, or make up something completely different, like they kind of did with the Flag Smashers in this.
He's an edgier kind of guy than Steve Rogers, and so there's an element of like he ends up not being great as being this like guy who's this symbol, because he's a little more into just brutalizing dudes.
And he's a little more willing to like do a little evil for a greater good, and we can't have Captain America doing that. Do you think they were trying to reflect that when they had him shoot the guy on top of, like, in the first episode? Or second episode?
I mean, they could...
Yeah, they want you to know it is a different kind of guy.
Like, Falcon Strip killed some dudes in that first episode. Like, you know?
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Clear.
But there was something about the fact that, like, the way he pulled out a gun and the way he shot somebody in that whole thing, like, they staged that with the cameras to be like, you should feel something about this. And it made me immediately go, wait a second, did we ever see... Like, obviously we saw Natasha shoot the fuck out of all kinds of people and all kinds of aliens, like, Natasha notwithstanding. But did we ever see Captain America ever shoot anyone? Ever?
I don't remember if in the first movie when he's straight up in World War II, he may have had a gun sometimes. Because he was just actually a guy in the middle of a war.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but definitely not in. He wasn't carrying a gun around after being unfrozen, for sure. Like in the modern time, there's definitely not. No.
Yeah, there was something, the way they shot that seemed very dramatic, and like they were trying to make you uncomfortable with what was going on.
Yeah, there's definitely, because you see, Bucky was trying to hold back and not kill anyone at that point. Like Falcon makes an effort not to, for sure. Also they want to like interrogate these people. They don't actually like practically. Also, it was just like he got mad because they threw Battlestar off the truck, I think, and he was like, you can tell he's aggressive. Also, yeah, that guy's name is Battlestar.
I know. I absolutely love when they have different like teams meet up, and these teams are just like, yeah, that's Iron Man, that's Captain America. We're all cool, so using each other's superhero names, and then they always make fun of it when they have you anybody else because they're like, who the hell are you? And it's just I absolutely love that every single time because everybody's embarrassed and they're like, yeah, my name's fucking Battlestar. Like, back off.
It's like funny because like, who the fuck is that guy? Like, it's like Bucky's right to be like, what? Who? He's like, I'm Lamar Hoskins. What? That's not someone. I mean, it is someone in the comics. He's a person, but like, to in this world, like, yeah, he's just some random guy tagging along with this other random guy. Essentially, where did he get that name? It's really weird.
I don't know. I'm hoping we get a backstory on that at some point, because like Star-Lord, I get how he got there, but I do appreciate Iron Man like making fun of that a little bit. So
I guess once you live in this world where there are people who have superhero names, like, yeah, just go for it.
Right.
Got an opportunity to say, hey, I'm Battlestar, go, why not?
Now,
yeah, so
go ahead.
I was just going to say, just because I think it's important, since we did bring up another name on the last episode too, when we were talking about John Walker, which was Super Patriot, because we spent a little bit of time for that, just to lay out the official, what Marvel considers the chronological order here. He was John Walker, then moved into Super Patriot, which was his first like actual hero identity, and that's whenever he was just kind of more of like leading recruits and stuff like that into the Federation, and you know, nothing too crazy. He was just kind of more of like an army top gear type deal, like kind of like a setup for a Captain America type program. Then he became Captain America, and in Captain America, things obviously the one that once again that they consider canon is where he went down the dark road. He took on the role as Captain America. Later, you know, served. Oh, okay. I'm not gonna say that because that could end up being a spoiler, but. Because I was reading all this while you guys were talking, I won't throw out any things that could potentially pop in that would be like a oh my god, you know, type situation.
Fine.
I mean, I guess if you don't care about being spoiled, that's fine. But
I guess
anybody who's watching, no, I'm saying, well, me and JoJo most likely know this, but anybody who's watching, hashtag spoiler alert, you might want to tune out for like 5 minutes. But the man who would later become Battlestar. You guys were just talking about that. So there you go. Anyways, so from Captain America to Battlestar, but apparently that was like a short run because that's not even listed as like an actual chapter here. But anyways, what I was getting to, which it's funny because it's like older comics here. So left winger and right winger, two completely different people. Anyways, they actually revealed Walker's full name, which led to the Watchdogs killing his parents. Walker then retaliated by killing most of the Watchdogs. He then captured left winger and right winger and used an old torch sword to ignite the explosives that they were strapped to, leaving them both in burnt comas. Eventually, there was the confrontation with the original Captain America, who by this time was just calling himself Captain. Walker was stopped by Rogers. The two then confronted the Red Skull, who had been manipulating the commission. In light of these events, Walker was deemed unworthy by Captain America to continue on with the title. Then Walker faked his death and then came back as U.S. agent.
Okay.
That's the chronological order considered by Marvel.
Oof.
So yeah. Odds are he will come into conflict with Bucky and Sam.
Which we already kind of saw tensions rise with that too, with this episode like early on. So
he's not an outright villain. Like probably, by the end they will come to some understanding where he amicably agrees to not be Captain America anymore.
I think that this is going to be a perfect situation of somebody being put in a position that was never supposed to be filled. Like, this guy can be top of his class all he wants to. Captain America was significantly better due to enhancements. Like, that happened at some point in time. That happened. This did not happen for Walker. Like, he might be the peak of human perfection. Captain America was enhanced to be better than that. Like, that's just all there is to it. So at the end of the day,
there's also,
when you look at Walker, you can't take a situation where it's like, oh, he does carry a gun. Like, he kind of has to. Like, physically,
absolutely,
kind of has to. Yeah. So there was
JoJo,
no way for him to hold up.
I have follow-up.
There's a sort of goofy thing also with I don't know if this is always canon or what, where the super soldier serum enhances all your physical abilities, but also enhances your personality. So, like, Captain America, Steve Rogers, a good guy, and so he became more good somehow. So if John Walker gets the serum at some point here, like you might expect could happen, given that that's in play out there somewhere, it could enhance the parts where he's like an angry guy sometimes, or he's like a little too egotistical in a way that he won't be able to let things go and let other people outshine him. Could be like that could be the problem with this. Sorry, Kelsey.
Possibly. Oh no, I wanted to hear your point. I think we also are coming back to the inherent difference between Steve Rogers and Steve Rogers was the little guy. He did not, like, if you'd put Steve Rogers pre-serum up against John Walker, like, never in a million years would he be able to take John Walker out, which is what made him special and unique. And so you take the little guy, you give him power, and then he's been abused so much, he knows how to make sure that he doesn't abuse power. And John Walker can never fill that because he's never been the little guy.
Right.
And like, that was essential in the creation of Steve Rogers. And so to just grab somebody and be like, we just need somebody who's big and strong, and it's the same thing, right? Like, no, it's very much not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's the point. It's like, if you want to be Captain America, then you shouldn't be Captain America or something. Yeah, like,
basically.
Like, that he thinks he's worthy of it. And that's why Sam will ultimately probably get to take the title, because Sam's like, I don't think so. And that's, that's the proof that he should be it or something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm super excited that they keep using the shield as, like, a big issue between Bucky and Falcon as well. I'm glad that didn't just die down instantly, where it's like, I mean, obviously, with this second episode, we got a little bit deeper into why Bucky's upset, which I think is going to obviously help the relationship between the two of them, which makes sense. I mean, because that was literally the crux of, in my opinion, the Winter Soldier, was he was able to come back from the brink because Steve believed in him that much, of like, you are different, like, you can break this. Which I will say, I know we said it in the first episode, but I do want to say it again, because I really did appreciate the scene where he had the whole taking that one chick out of power, and then he just like, I'm a recovering addict or something like that. Stopping you as part of my process to becoming better or something. That was so
right.
good.
He's doing like a 12 steps alcohol
steps thing where you make amends. That was so funny. That was so funny. I was like, I really appreciated that scene.
Well, what I loved about that was to make him, like, he had her name down, but he wasn't making amends with her. He was making amends with the American people.
Right. Exactly.
And I absolutely loved that, because that's just a very different take on the 12 steps, like you're describing. So yeah, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. And then obviously, I mean, we'd probably get a lot of hate in the comments if we didn't talk about, briefly talked about it, but the second therapy scene was really good with them having to get all the way together. That was pretty good. I kept my favorite part of that was just how many times that Sam brought up, like, cool, we just had to make this awkward. Yep, we just had to make this awkward. Like, I was fine, but we had to make this awkward.
That therapist is amazing, though, where she's just like, are you guys having a fucking staring contest? Like, she's immediately keying onto their shit and calling them on it in no uncertain terms. And I'm like, good job. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, they lucked out that, like, those two actors work really well together, too, because, I mean, this wasn't necessarily planned from when they hired Bucky back at the first Captain America movie, right? Like, so...
Right.
Yeah. Got
absolutely.
Yeah,
no, they definitely do.
I can't speak for Sebastian Stan, but oh gosh, I just lost his name.
Anthony Mackie.
Thank you. So Anthony Mackie is Juilliard trained.
Oh wow!
Like he is fucking amazing at his job, and he's been trained for a long time to be amazing at his job. And it's like you should watch his Hot Ones episodes. It's very good. Sorry, you could cut that out, Chris, if you don't want to be promoting that. But he's very entertaining and he's very talented. And I think he brings a lot of that relatability. And then you get Sebastian Stan, who's basically a cinnamon roll once you get him out of the Winter Soldier costume. And so those two guys can get along really well. So yeah, they are lucky, but I think there's just a lot of chemistry between the two of them, which is why this whole thing comes off like a rom-com.
Anthony Mackie's great. Like, I'm glad they're giving him. He's really charming in this. Like, now they have time to let him do his thing with actual focus on him. It's great.
When he got casted as Sam, I was like, I can't think of a single movie this guy is in, like, at all. Like, I was trying to think of like anything he was in, and then I remembered that he was in 8 Mile, and I was like, damn, dude, went from spitting lines against Eminem to the fucking MCU. Like, let's go. So,
and I think he also played a character, and I want to say in like either Abraham Lincoln or Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I want to say it was the Vampire Hunter one, but he's actually been in quite a few things. If he hasn't been in the Vampire Hunter one, I'm very, very sorry. Bye, JoJo.
Whoops. Bye. Hello.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I couldn't. Whenever he first got cast, I was like, I don't think I've seen this guy like anything. And then I was like, but his face is so familiar. And then I can't remember what I was doing, but I was watching something, and then like it was like relatable scenes, and then it was like Eminem, 8 Mile, the final battle against Papa Doc, and I was like, oh shit, that's Falcon. I was like, that's where he's from. It was like, oh snap.
It was Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Okay.
I'm very pleased about that. Sorry. But he plays very different characters in these different things. But yeah.
Yeah, I never saw it.
They cast a lot like early or in the middle section of the MCU, like a bunch of like really talented but lesser known, smaller, people, and it has paid off. Like Elizabeth Olsen also was like, had just done something where she was like, I think Oscar nominated at the time or something, but like, wasn't super famous.
See, and this is something that links perfect back to the conversation that me and you had about the fucking Zack Snyder DCEU Justice League movie. Is that Justice League not Justice League, DC has this way of having like so many stupidly overpowered people that they have to choose like a top tier row, and then everybody else seems like they're on cleanup duty, to where Marvel does a very interesting way of like, we get that there's certain people who are like just out of people's leagues, but like the people who seem that they're cleanup still seem important. And they do a very good way of being able to make you interested about these. Like, I mean, I can't think of somebody out of my head for, like a good reference, but I mean, I don't feel that there's very many DC characters that they could do this type of show with. Like, at all, that are like, that cleanup crew level, besides having to blow tons of money like they did in order to make Flash, Green Arrow. But once again, those are Justice League like type members, but they're considered to be low tier, to where like Sam and them, you can literally say, are sidekicks. Like, they were referred to as sidekicks. You are Captain America's sidekick. Like, who else can DC really do that with besides you know what I mean?
Well, they don't have him in the movies yet, I guess. We'd have to do like a Nightwing or something, right? Like,
yeah, but that's different though. That's what I'm saying. Robin, in my opinion, Robin's the only person who's transcended past like just being a sidekick.
Oh, for sure.
Out of comic book history, like the only person who has ever done that. I don't think there's anybody else that's come close to like paying their dues the way Robin has. I mean, the fucking short shorts he wore alone, like that man has paid his dues to become like who he is. Like, that's just all there is to it. So I just, like I said, it's interesting to me because like it's like we talked about. Flash is seen as just this. He's fucking low tier, and he's like one of the strongest fucking people in the DC universe, and he just doesn't get his dues. But it's like you put him in his own show like they did, but he's still considered like by the fandom top tier. Whenever you look at the comics versus the fandom, I don't see many characters DC can do that with and do it well like Marvel does, where they're able to take these characters. I mean, sure, Falcon probably has a fan base. Before the movie, I guarantee you his fan base was nowhere near as big as it is now. Nowhere near as big as it is now. And once again, he still doesn't have like a mainstream storyline until after the movies have taken place, where he probably has his own comic book series now, to where he was only probably ever in the Avengers or, you know, Captain and Falcon, you know, stuff like that. And the reason why I can speak on this is because of Deadpool. I mean, Deadpool was the same way. Like, the exact same way. So it's just, I don't know, it's crazy to me.
Actually, you know who from DC really blew up is Harley Quinn. Is ultimately like she was a sidekick to a villain, and now is like straight up one of their most popular characters.
And she was supposed to be a throwaway. That's what kills me with
right.
Harley
Yeah,
Quinn. She was supposed to be a fucking throwaway.
Person.
She was literally supposed to be there for like a couple episodes of the animated show, and that was it. And then it was like, fucking, she's amazing. Let's keep her. So, and she's a great character.
Robbie
don't get me wrong.
Absolutely hates that people ship the heck out of Harley Quinn and the Joker. She's like, this is a disgusting relationship. This is toxic.
Mm-hmm.
This is horrible. There is nothing about this that you should be shipping. And people are just like, oh my God, like, would you kiss the Joker in the real life? Like, can we take a picture of that? And she's like, no, I won't. Like, there is no part of this that is okay. And she's trying to communicate that to the fans. And some of the fans are insane. It's not a good relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a difference between like learning a character and playing a character versus like reading them from their origin forward. Like you kind of get, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, obviously it's a stupid abusive relationship. You should never be in any kind of relationship like that in real life at all, obviously. But it's one of those things that like built those two characters. Like it's what made the Joker the Joker. It's what made Harley Quinn Harley Quinn. Like, so it makes sense on why people ship it. Like it's not like it doesn't, but yeah, as far as like a real scenario, yeah, you would never want to be in a relationship with someone who would treat you like the Joker would treat Harley Quinn. Like that would be.
But also, like they've developed her so much now as a character that she's beyond that.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there's so much
like,
power struggle.
Hit them because she now gets to exist independently. Right. She doesn't have to be tethered exclusively to the Joker.
Yeah, there's times where there's power struggles between her and the Joker, to where like she's got her own, you know, gang of whatever, and wants to take over Joker and his gang of whatever. So yeah, I mean, there's always a power struggle in Gotham, and it's interesting to see that. Yeah, once again, you take a throwaway character and she's risen to where she is now, to where she has that kind of power and that kind of potential, because she is a great character. But yeah, that's what that's fair. I'll give you that. I think Harley Quinn could have a good show if somebody from Disney produced it.
She could have. I would say she has a good show right now. They have a cartoon on HBO Max.
Yeah, but I mean, like an actual live show. Like,
like a live action thing. Well, yes.
Because I'm trying to draw the correlation to where, when the Marvel movies first got hot, right?
Yeah.
There was the comparison between DC movies and Marvel movies, and that DC movies do not stand up, which they don't. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The one good movie they had, in my opinion, was Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman 2, in my opinion, was terrible compared to the first one. Did not like it at all. I was super fucking upset about that because I was super excited for finally another good fucking DC movie, and it just wasn't. But
no
that
fault
being
of the
said,
actors in it. Like they tried. Chris Pine and Gal Gadot tried.
Yeah, no, Gal Gadot is a great Wonder Woman. I fucking love her, Diana. Anyways, that being said, they've always failed in comparison, but everybody would always walk back to, okay, well, DC has it with their live action shows, because Marvel had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was like, okay. It was like really good when it first started, and then it just got super fucking weird, and then even I lost interest. I can't remember where I lost interest. I was just like, yeah, I'm done with this. And then they tried to do a couple things with like Legion X and Runaways, and I don't remember those getting super popular, but I do know they have a fan base.
Legion was very cool and also very much not related to anything else. Like it was a psychological weird ass thing with no connection to any of the other stuff they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So then you have like the Green Arrow, which a lot of people fucking loved. I loved it. Flash, fucking amazing. That was my Barry Allen. I wanted him in the movie so bad. I love that kid. And then Superwoman was super fucking good as well. Or Supergirl, not Superwoman. Supergirl was super fucking good. And I don't think that he had anything else. I think that was it, right? Because Martian Manhunter was
Black
in
Lightning,
Supergirl.
And the something of the future, something of tomorrow, whatever. The group
was
like,
yeah, that one I didn't jump onto, but yeah,
Legends
I know what you're
of
talking about.
Tomorrow.
Legends of Tomorrow, yeah, no, but that did have a great fan base. A lot of people liked that show. It just wasn't my cup of tea. So with that being there, now Marvel is doing these live TV shows, and I mean, once again, I hated Wanda Vision from the get-go. It got a lot better. I talked about the fact that there were in parts that didn't make sense to me, but all in all, I think it's a show that I would watch in completion twice. Once because the mystery was good enough to keep the show interesting after episode 3, because the first 2 episodes were terrible.
They were rough.
Once you get past the season, if you were to go back and look for stuff to see if there were little hints and Easter eggs that chick was behind it the entire time, then it makes you appreciate episode 1 and 2 a lot more than just watching it straight out the gate. So that I would put up there in great shows of Marvel. So far, Captain Falcon, as I'm calling it, is up there in great shows with Marvel. So it's crazy to see this difference, because then it's like, if they make a move to animated movies, like, the comparisons are gone. And that's what it seems like we're slowly moving to, is like, all right, cool, we dominated the movie universe. Now we're gonna somewhat do something with the movies, not really do anything like too big. Like, I mean, we went over the movie list. Besides Black Panther 2, there really wasn't like a top name. I mean, I guess Thor, Love and
I mean, they got Guardians of the Galaxy again. They're doing sequels.
Yeah, Guardians. I forgot about that.
Still around, you know.
Yeah. So, but it's kind of like we're withering away out of the movies and like full push into this fucking TV show thing. I'm super excited for the lineup for the TV shows. And then I've literally have seen them talking about the fact that they want to start putting more of a budget in animated movies. It's like, holy shit.
Oh, really?
Like, that whole shift is just going straight down the line to where DC is still like, I mean, we got Zack Snyder's cut. That was great. That was a 4-hour fucking journey. And I don't think it was good enough to make me go, man, the Avengers are fucking, they better keep going or fucking DC's gonna sneak up on them. Like, no, it wasn't. Like, you took one scene that actually made the movie like the greatest, which was that fucking Flash went from saving a family of 4 random fucking people to Flash saving the entire universe. I'm like, yay, Flash actually gets his fucking due for once, because he's fucking amazing. But I mean, in the first movie, he just saves this random fucking 4 people family in a house or in a town that no one lives in. And I was just like, this just seems so forced. It was like, what do we do with Flash? I mean, and it still seemed like that with the Zack Snyder cut. Like, it was like, Superman is here. And it, like, just like I said in that review show as well, Aquaman and Wonder Woman can hold their fucking own against Superman. They won't win, but they can hold their own for a while. So it was like, we want Superman to be like the main spotlight. So let's trap Aquaman and Wonder Woman underneath rocks, which, once again, Wonder Woman could have fucking destroyed second, done. She's done it thousands of times. Done. Aquaman needed zero help from her at all. So, once again, both of them being there trapped under rocks was just stupid and just plot reason for Superman to be like, oh, I'm a badass. And then it was like, oh, we still have to do something with Flash. Let's just make him run around town until fucking Cyborg's like, all right, come on, let's go. Like, I was like, this is so stupid. I don't know.
Then he got to time travel.
And then he got to time travel. Finally, we see something Flash can actually do in the comics. Woot. So, I don't know. But like I said, it's interesting to see the shift where, like I said, that was always the biggest thing in, like, you know, the comic message boards, Reddit and stuff like that, where everybody's like, well, Marvel can have the movies, but DC has this. And now Marvel's like, let's hold the phone. We're not done yet. Like, Phase 4 just fucking started.
The thing that changed is they got all the TV stuff now under the same producer, like, guidance as the movie stuff, Kevin Feige or whatever. Because before, the TV stuff was a separate division, whereas like it was canon to the movie, or the movies were canon to the shows, but the movies would not acknowledge the shows were happening at all. And now they're fully linked in a way that lets them just
build
do better stuff. Yeah, like build everything all together. Like I hope there's rumors that they're going to bring back that guy who played Daredevil to keep playing Daredevil.
That would be great. That would be
great,
fucking awesome. Daredevil was awesome.
Really good.
Daredevil was great. Iron Fist was trash. Luke Cage was halfway interesting until it got ridiculous, where people were just walking around with rocket launchers and shit. And I was just like, all right, this is getting a little too much for me. Yeah. Like, you're just randomly walking around town with a rocket launcher waiting for fucking Luke Cage to show up. Like, okay, sweet, I guess. But, and then Jessica Jones was really good. I actually like Jessica Jones a lot. That one was really good. Defenders was cool because seeing them all together. But like I said, if they bring back Iron Fist, they got to replace that guy. Like, he was not a good Iron Fist at all, in my opinion. But, you know, hey, whatever.
Right. I never even bothered to watch that because, like, I don't know how much of that was the guy's fault and also the writer's fault. Like, that show just seemed like it was not good all around. I think they got the guy who did the last season of Dexter or something to write Iron Fist, and that everyone hates the last season of Dexter. I know. So much so that they're bringing Dexter back to give it a different ending.
Yeah.
Because of how terrible that was. So,
but see,
other writers made that guy's fine. That's all.
Yeah. But where my worry comes into play is now that we've got this shift into the TV shows, I'm really worried on whether or not the next Marvel movies are going to suffer due to the fact that a lot of these movies coming out are people like Black Widow, so and so. It seems like it's a lot more of like, not necessarily the B cast, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know any more heavy hitters besides like the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, even Thor, Love and Thunder, like, we're bringing Natalie Portman out of fucking nowhere.
Well, I think, you know, if before right now talking about this show, like if you said that they're doing a Falcon movie, that would be the B cast also, right?
Yeah, it would, 100%. But it would make sense if it was just a Falcon movie, because then it's the transition of Falcon becoming Captain America, because that was set up at the end of the end game. That was set up. A lot of this stuff just is like, once again, Natalie Portman becoming Thor, literally out of fucking nowhere. None of that is set up. Guardians of the Galaxy, for some reason, Thor decides he wants to fucking... That still makes zero fucking sense to me. I'm just going to abandon Asgard. Fuck it, I'm going to be a Guardian of the Galaxy. Deuces. Like, okay, sweet. That makes zero sense to me as well. Cool. So, but I mean, it's still like the Guardians, so it's still going to be like, you know, like an A... Technically, they were B-list, or they weren't even B-list. They weren't even on a fucking list until they became a fucking movie. But I guess A-list in the movies now. But yeah, I just...
Sorry, there's stuff we don't know about, I think, also now at this point, where like they're doing these shows and they don't want to tell us some things that they will do in the future because might imply things about the outcome of some of these shows, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they may do a Captain America 4 that stars Sam at some point, but like they can't say that because he's not Captain America right now.
Well, that's like I said, that's my worry is like, I don't want us to like tread through mud to get to like something else. I'm not saying these movies are going to be bad, but once again, I mean, what was the second one that we had on there? It was about the Mandarin. Like, how many people were really going to be interested? Yeah, how many people were really going to be interested in that movie? Like,
that's the thing that we said about Guardians of the Galaxy, and then they made an amazing Guardians of the Galaxy movie, right? So maybe they make an amazing Shang-Chi movie. The Eternals is being directed by a woman who just got nominated for Oscars and like won the Golden Globe for Best Director.
Eternals is going to be good.
They'll.
And isn't the woman who directed Black Widow the same person that did WandaVision, right?
Maybe.
I think
probably. I'm not sure on that one.
Do you guys know any of these women's names?
Chloe Zhao is the director of The Eternals, I believe, is her name.
To be fair, I also don't know any of the fucking men who directed these movies.
Right. I know a few.
I just remember seeing like, so-and-so who directed WandaVision is also doing Black Widow. And I was just like, oh, sweet. So, yeah, you know, WandaVision was hard at first. So if I hate the beginning of the Black Widow movie and at the end of it, I'm like, that was a pretty solid flick. I know what I'm in for because that's how WandaVision was. I was like, WandaVision sucks. It was a pretty solid show.
I am smart. Her name is Chloe Zhao. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Her movie Nomadland supposed to be really, really good, and she's also directing the Eternals, so a big get, I guess.
They just need to bring back the Inhumans. That's what we need.
Who?
The Inhumans, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, eventually, hopefully.
Yeah.
I feel like we've gotten so far off of our original subject.
Oh, yeah.
It's so easy to jump into Phase 4. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just excited for Phase 4. There's a lot of TV shows coming out that are super fun. What if, Loki, after we're done with this, we get Loki? Like, there's no way that's not going to be a good TV show. Fucking guy that plays Loki's amazing. Yeah.
Within the year, they're going to have to establish the Inhumans again because they're going to have a Miss Marvel series and she's an Inhuman. So that will have to.
Right. Oh, which, by the way, I'm only bringing this up because we're talking about the Inhumans. If I can just finish the Spider-Man game, by the way, I did not notice they actually put the Lockjaw statue in New York. So I was just like swinging by and I just run into the side of this big ass fucking dog. I thought it was a bull, and I walk around. I was like, it's Lockjaw. I was like, yeah, let's go. Kelsey has no idea who this character is.
Lockjaw is a giant dog who can teleport.
Yeah.
Neat.
He lives on the moon.
He's got like this little. Did they ever say like it was like an antenna?
That's where the Inhumans live.
Yeah, that's what the Inhumans are. They're so great.
On the dark side of the moon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Black Bolt, my dude, where he can shatter an entire mountain in just a whisper. Dude's a beast. But yeah, I guess we should wrap this up on the Falcon show.
Also, Isaiah Bradley and his grandson were in the episode, and that kid becomes a superhero too at some point.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They're sort of peppering in stuff to set up the Young Avengers at some point.
Yeah.
Which is a bunch of kids who look very much like the Avengers, in terms of there's a fake Captain America, there's a fake Iron Man, there's the Wanda's kids are in that. So
that answers that question then.
Yeah. So that's the thing. There's setting up a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that was an interesting conversation I had to have with my significant other, because she was like, so what was the deal with, like, because she watched Wanda Vision separate from me, and she was like, so what was the deal with, like, hearing the kids yell at the end? She's like, I thought that they were just, like, figments of her imagination, that she created. And I was like, for someone who really didn't, so once again, I've said this on multiple podcasts, I'm not a big fan of, like, whenever I get into something and then there's, like, a huge change. So, like, whenever it was like I'm watching Digimon and then season 2, it's like all the kids grew up and now all their kids are going into the Digi world. I was like, I don't know these people. I don't care about these people. Fuck these people. I'm out. Digimon was great for season 1. It's the same thing with the Young Avengers. I don't know these kids. I don't know their stories. I don't care. So it was, I knew who the kids were, but I didn't know how far they went into the comics. And I've really not too far, because they're really just in the Young Avengers and somewhat in the Avengers when they get older. But it was like, I was like, they're kind of a thing. Like, I didn't really read about them. I was like, we could look it up if you want to, but
you know enough to know that she does have kids then.
Yeah, but it's, once again, it's like the kids weren't introduced the same way as they were in the show. So it's like, to me, it doesn't make sense because Vision's dead. So how are her kids here? Like, that's where the mystery is for the comic book fans. It's like, Vision's dead. Did she literally create these fucking kids into existence and we just thought they were fake? Like, she actually created them and they're there? Obviously we have the whole, me and JoJo talked about it during the Wanda Vision one, where we don't know what the fuck happened with the super white Vision that just flew the fuck off. Like, we don't know what happened with that one.
Even if Vision was real and alive, like, Tony Stark didn't give that dude functioning reproductive organs, right? Like, or Ultron didn't do that.
That was going to be one of my questions.
Yeah. So
that's a feat of amazing.
Somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They'll explain it in that Doctor Strange movie, right? They'll figure it out. She's going to be in that.
I was super excited. That was probably my favorite part about the WandaVision show, was seeing her in full Scarlet Witch outfit. Like, at the end, she looked fucking awesome. Like, I'm super excited to see her in the Doctor Strange movie. She looked fucking amazing. I was like, yes. So, I was super excited because she's just out there just drinking the coffee, and I was like, all right, cool. Now we're like secluded and away from everybody. I was like, this is like the normal like superhero trope going on in the comics where like they lose their mind for a while, like the Hulk whenever he like just started just rampaging shit, and then it was like he secluded himself to his own island, and it was Hulk Island, and it's like, cool, we've done this with like 20 different superheroes at this point. Wanda's just out there just sipping fucking hot chocolate and shit, and I'm like, okay, sweet. And all of a sudden it just shows her doing the fucking Doctor Strange shit, and I was just like, oh, Scarlet Witch, yes. I was like, full outfit, let's go. I love her. She's great. I'm super excited for her. She's so fucking strong.
So how are you going to wrap this up on the Falcon?
I don't know. We keep getting away from that, but
I know.
I guess final thoughts as far as wrapping certain things up. I do like the hostility between Walker and his sidekick just seems so forced.
Battlestar.
He seems so forced to me. Like like he just seems like he's just there. Like whenever they dropped him on the trucks, that was just such like just out of, cause like Walker is like top of his class, whatever, and that's why he's Captain America. I mean, we didn't get any kind of like thing for Battlestar at all.
Buddy.
It was just like he's just there. Like it just seems forced to me. Like I feel like since it's like he's Captain America, and they're all like, and his sidekick Battlestar, who was also like da 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 da. Like we got no stats for him, like at all. Mm-hmm. So it just seems like really forced. So I mean, dude seems cool. I mean, I like how regardless of what's going on, he has Walker's back, which makes sense for his character. Like his motives seem great so far, but once again, it's only episode 2, so we'll see what the fuck happens. But that being said, I like that they're like the confrontation between them at the cop car. I really, really enjoyed where like at the end of it, like Falcon was still like, you might be Captain America, but like we're superheroes. Like you can claim Captain America, we're superheroes. Like we can do what we want. Da 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 da. And then that's whenever he was like, it was one of those things where it's like, you know, he got shut down, but he was just still like, well, then you know, advice, stay out of my way. So like they're already making that divide of like
doing that cool posturing.
Yeah, stay out of my way. Yeah, that guy. So I really enjoyed that because, like I said, I said this in the first one, the first review show we did for this. I am going to be a bigger fan if they do the more darker story for Walker and kind of have it more where he kind of taints the name of Captain America. And that is what's going to lead to like the conclusion of like Falcon and Bucky like having to take the shield back. Like we're not going to let you destroy Captain America's legacy. I would so much rather they go down that route than it's like this is like fucking the new Captain America moving forward, and like maybe he'll get his own show, the John Walker fucking 6-episode season like next time. Like I don't want him to be like the hero basically.
Well, I think they're setting that girl up that showed up at the very beginning to be like, oh, I snuck in to see you before your games and stuff like that, and love you too. Like, I think they're setting her up to either be kidnapped or die or something like that. Like, my guess is if they do this, as you're describing, which it feels like they're going to at some point, like they've already kind of hinted that he may not be as pristine and pure as Steve Rogers was. Like, I'm anticipating it's going to have something to do with her.
Ooh, but what if she's like a flag smasher spy and like she dies by like Bucky or something like that, and fucking John Walker sees it happen, but he doesn't see like her wearing the mask or something. Like they're like in a mass of people, and like she has the mask on, and like Bucky just knocks her the fuck out, breaks the mask, and like he literally sees her on the ground and Bucky standing over her. Ooh, that would be interesting.
That would be really cool. If that actually happens, it's going to freak me out how accurate you were. And if something shittier happens, I'm going to be like, Chris needs to be directing these goddamn shows.
Oh, because it would make sense if Sam did it. It would have to be Bucky. It would 100% have to be Bucky. The hate is way more there for Bucky than it is for Sam. So I think that was like the main thing that set Bucky off, which I really liked, was the fact that he was like, I feel like, I know I didn't know Cap, but I feel like me and him would be brothers. I was like, damn, dude.
Like, you do not say that to Bucky. God. Fuck off.
Oh, man. And so, like, whenever Bucky caught the shield and he just grabbed it out of Bucky's hand, I was like, man, dude, they are really playing these two against each other.
And the look on Bucky's face when he caught it and he was just like, I have to let this go. And just like the rage, like, I have to punch someone. Oh, you're convenient. Was Yeah.
Yep. 100%. So yeah, I'm super excited to kind of see like how that's going to continue to break down. Like I said, I hope they go down the dark road path because I think that would be a better story. And if they're going to try to stay canon wise with the comics, which Marvel has shown plenty of times, they don't give a shit. Whenever it comes to MCU, it is different. They're going to do what the fuck they want to do. Then we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So, but yeah, so I guess overall score is how we finished the first episode. Is how we did it when we did Game of Thrones. So far, I guess the way I would rather do this, since the episodes are shorter, since we're doing there's only going to be 6 episodes, I guess we'll base interest level. So since episode 1, moving forward into the season, and then what we'll do is since these are short episode seasons, we'll base the season on a whole as far as giving it a rating. Episode 2 is 100% piqued my interest. Like 100%. I am way more invested in this show moving forward. This show is way easier to just pick up and go than WandaVision, but once again, WandaVision had more episodes, so they had a lot more to quote unquote set up to where this was easy to be like, we knew what, like WandaVision wasn't set up at the end of Endgame. That just didn't happen. Besides the fact that Vision's fucking dead. Like WandaVision wasn't set up. So they had to do something with Wanda, which made sense on why the episodes were slow. This was like almost like they could have literally cut the movie off after the scene that Cap gave him the shield and then started this episode like literally seconds later, and it would have been like, oh yeah, this is a great transition into like him being like, fuck, do I keep the shield? Do I not keep the shield? Like it makes sense. So yeah, my interest is definitely up there. I'm definitely gonna be watching this to completion, obviously, but as far as my interest level, I'm super liking the show. So Kelsey, since you're next on the show, new jumping in, episode
Genuinely
2.
loving the show. I'm enjoying watching Anthony Mackie strut as the main character is really fun for me. Like I think he's a talented actor, and I think he's having a chance in the spotlight to show like I am leading man material and you can trust me to carry a show. And I think he's showing that very well. I think the interaction between him and Sebastian Stan is fantastic, and I'm loving how it's written. I'm loving how we're experiencing that, and I'm loving that even though these guys are both grieving the loss of a friend, these guys are both grieving the loss of the Avengers, and actually more than one friend, the loss of the Avengers, and kind of coming back into this world that moved past them but also desperately needs them, and like trying to find that without the normal touchstones that they have, and instead they have each other and that challenging relationship. And watching Sebastian Stan, whose natural response to this, Bucky, not Sebastian Stan, Bucky's response to this, which is to shut down and isolate because he's done so much damage. He sees himself as a weapon, and more as a weapon than as a person. And so his response to, hey, things are bad, is to remove himself from the situation so he won't cause any more damage. Being forced out by therapy, being forced out by his own desire to be like, no, shit's going down. I have to go fix that. Like if I'm a weapon, then I'm a hammer, point me at a nail. These people suck. And then getting resistance from that, from Falcon, and kind of watching all that play out. I'm having a great time watching their interpersonal dynamics, and each of these characters, each of these actors, not playing just I'm the important guy and I get to beat up bad guys. Isn't this fun? Like they're playing something much more complex, and they're doing it well, and I'm very grateful for it. So I am completely invested in this show. JoJo, your turn.
Well, before
yes,
we let
I
JoJo
like
go,
it too.
Before we let JoJo go, with his quick answer on that one, one thing that I did want
Zemo in it, so now I'm happy. That's all. I want to see what that would be.
Zemo,
and so there you go.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Zemo's going to do too. But one thing that I did want to bring up, since Kelsey's now on here as well, because I thought this was very interesting because you deal with the whole financial world. So one of the big things that was always a huge draw to me for Marvel Comics, and what made Marvel Comics stand so different from DC when it was first created, and this is all thanks to the fucking legend Stan Lee, was that he took comics from being the superhero is in a mask, he rescues the damsel in distress, game over, to where he gave them identities behind the mask. He gave them real world problems, like Peter Parker struggling to fucking pay to take Mary Jane out on a date. Fantastic Four, Reed Richards struggling because he has so many failed experiments to keep the Baxter building open and going, and struggling to pay rent, causing, marital problems between him and the Invisible Woman, so on and so forth. Every character has real problems. The interesting aspect of adding the financial problems with Falcon due to the blip was very interesting to me. Super fucking interesting to me. And I wanted to,
so much.
yeah, I was like, I wonder what Kelsey thought about this because, yeah, it's interesting. Like, it's like, how do you, like, I mean, when we think of like our world as far as like credit and everything on how all that's established, just having this whole 5-year gap of fucking nothing. And it's like, what do we do to remedy that? You know, and this also goes to show kind of what the Flag Smashers are talking about, where it's like, they're trying to find all these resources to, you know, allocate to these people who just randomly showed up. And now when we're looking at something like financial wise, it's like you're in a fucked situation. Like he is in a fucked situation.
Oh, absolutely. And I had that thought when he was applying for a loan because I'm just like, so large banks, gigantic banks, and we used to have laws that would prevent this. And I can go on for this for an hour and a half, but I will not do so because I know nobody gives a shit at all. Look up Glass-Steagall. It is the single reason that we have the middle class that we have in America, and we should all reinstate it, and we should all petition all of our lawmakers to reinstate Glass-Steagall. Anyways, banks are allowed to play with your money, and that's why when investment markets like crash like crazy, that's why you and I are affected, the everyday people. And Glass-Steagall actually prevented that, but that's not the main point. So what occurred to me is if you have half the population suddenly disappearing, all of their money was in the bank's accounts. Basically, they were using that money already, which is why if everybody goes and tries to pull all their money out of bank at one time, like they can't do that because they literally don't have that money on hand. They're investing with that money. They're gambling with that money to try then get more money themselves. So they would then just have that money and nobody would be claiming it. So my guess is a lot of those banks would be just like, that's ours now. And when everybody comes back, the fucking panic of, wait a minute, I made literal billions off of billions of people disappearing and now they want it back, but we don't have it. And like the unbelievable world and how you would have to try to like legislate your way out of that. You'd have to actually put in legislations to protect the banks and things like that. I thought a lot about this during the show and I was very excited about the whole thing. Nobody cares but me. I care about how much hawks weigh and I care about banks. Why am I on a YouTube channel?
No way of knowing people would come back at all, so they probably like assumed all of them were straight up dead, and so like people inherited stuff, and also they like canceled your social security number or something. Right?
Exactly.
Your identity is literally gone at that point, like 100%. Like you are nobody. Like you literally are nobody.
And then you know that everybody came back, but you also know like in this time people died and people moved and like all kinds of craziness happened that we normally try to control to some degree, and you can't control that at this point. And so the amount of fraud that we're going to have is going to go off the charts. It would be one of those moments where we'd have to go, everything in the past, if we try to use that, is broken. We need to find something new for right now, and we have to redo all of our society's infrastructures right now. And all of our institutions have to be redone right now, and people already need them in place. Like, it would be just a chaotic mess. It would be amazing. I'm so glad I'm not in charge of any of it.
Oh, man. Yeah, whenever I saw that and, like, he was just having issues with the loan, I was like, man, that is just such an interesting fucking... And like I said, Marvel fucking does it every time. I love that they still incorporate that stuff in there. It's fucking great. But anyways, so as JoJo said, his official review, he likes it because Zemo's in it.
And could other stuff, but we already talked about the other stuff, so.
I hope they give Zemo his full fucking purple outfit. If they don't, I'm gonna be upset. I want to see Zemo rocking the full purple fucking outfit, dude.
He's gonna put on the mask.
It put on the mask for sure, but I want to see the outfit, man.
Oh, yeah.
Even with the stupid like golden fucking metal things that he had like kind of like glued on to his fucking purple beanie. Like, yeah, dude.
We might skip that a little bit.
It's just
most of it, I think.
It's just funny to see like some of these characters who were clearly created a long time ago, and it was like, all right, he's in full purple spandex, but let's give him like this evil looking crown so that way people know he's evil. Like it's like in today's world, it's like, yeah, that looks fucking stupid. You can't recreate it. It's great. It's great. But anyways, so that's our thoughts. Once again, we're going to be doing this every single week until we finish up Falcon, and then I think we get like a month-ish break until we get Loki, and then same thing until we get What If, and then I think we're done with 2021 for Phase 4's TV shows, and then we start up with my fucking one that I'm most excited about. My voice cracked there. Moon Knight Super fucking pumped for. Oh my god. I hope they do great with that. I love Moon Knight. Moon Knight is so fucking cool. So, yeah, you'll see me fanboy a little bit. I've read a lot of Moon Knight comics. I love Moon Knight. That's one of Moon Knight and Taskmaster are two people who I've been like, I want them to get the Deadpool rise. Like, I want them to be like, we're nobody, and then now we have like our own fucking movies and shit. Like, our Moon Knight and fucking Taskmaster are so great, and Taskmaster's gonna be in Black Widow, which, as JoJo talked about, and me and JoJo talked about, I hope to God he's not a throwaway villain. I really hope to God he's not a throwaway villain. He deserves so much more than just to be a fucking throwaway villain. And Moon Knight's amazing. I'm super excited that he got his own TV show. So.
I'm so sorry. As somebody who knows nothing about this, Moon Knight is just a stupid fucking name. Moon Knight and so cool. Every time you guys are like, he's amazing, I'm like, awesome. They should have given him a better name. Moon Knight's real close to Moon. It's just real dumb, and I'm sorry.
But you like the I mean, you're big in mythology. You like mythology, right?
I mean, yes. There's moons and knights all over mythology. How is this relevant?
Well, I mean, that's his whole premise, is that he's based off the moon god Khonshu out of Egyptian mythology. So Khonshu is who gave him the name. He is his avatar on Earth, the Moon Knight.
I was unaware. Neat.
Yeah, see? Yeah. And these are things you'll learn as the show comes out. So,
exactly.
Which will be interesting. But before I go off on a tangent about that, let me wrap this the fuck up. If you enjoyed this show, make sure you like and subscribe. Also, turn on his notifications. That way you get notified when we come out with episode 3 as we continue to move on. And wow, it's crazy to think that we just started and we're already almost done with this show. 3 out of 6 episodes almost. All right. Anyway, but make sure you have your notifications turned on. That way you can catch us on episode 3. Hit us in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts on the show so far. What you're most excited for out of Phase 4 coming out. Your top show, your top movie. Me and JoJo, if you missed it, it was episode 1, or did we do that during Justice League? I don't know. One of the other. Go watch both. They're both great content. But one of those shows, we gave the full rundown of Phase 4's calendar, and we'll probably do the same after the end of this show, or at the end of this season, because then we can get Kelsey's views on what she's excited for Phase 4 as well. And
also, not to prolong this, but when we were talking about all that stuff, literally the next day they changed it to make Black Widow coming out later and coming out on Disney Plus.
I saw that and I was gonna text you about it. I literally pulled out my phone and be like, "God damn it, JoJo!" Like we just talked about this. Yeah, I saw that. But so we'll have to get the updated schedule when we go to do it at the end of the season. Hopefully they'll have time to kind of reflect what's going to happen. But regardless, either way, Black Widow's the only thing that moves. It's not that big a deal. The rest of the shows, I highly doubt that they're really going to play in together unless What If is really going to fuck with something Black Widow wise, because I highly doubt Loki's going to have anything to fucking do with Black Widow at all. That would be so goddamn random, but who fucking knows? Anyways, like, subscribe, have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time.